evening, everyone. It's a beautiful evening here in uptown New Orleans. I hope you're having a beautiful evening, too. I'm Melinda Mae Miller. I'm a psychic medium, and you're listening to Invisible Warriors. If you have a question or a comment, give me a call at 657-383-1264. That's 657-383-1264. Why don't psychics get the lottery numbers? Don't we know everything? Don't we have access to special information? If Spirit is here to help us, why don't they give us what we need? That's what I'm here to talk about tonight. That's probably the most common question I'm asked as a psychic medium. Really, if you're psychic, why haven't you won the lottery? If you're psychic, how come you don't win at the slot machines? If you're psychic, why don't you go to a casino? Well, it doesn't work that way, and it's not that simple. First of all, people assume that psychics have access to some kind of special secret information. There's a fallacy that people have about those who are on the other plane. We've built this up through centuries and centuries and centuries of religious ideas passed on to us. But the truth is, they're living in a world pretty much like ours, except we can't see them. They can see us, but we can't see them. That doesn't mean they have access to secret information. It doesn't mean that they know things that we don't know. They do know some things that we don't know. They do have a broader picture of our life than we do, but that doesn't mean they can predict the future any more than we can. When you go to a psychic or a medium and you say, I'd like to have my mother come through, and your mother is available and she comes through, all she can do is give you her opinion or give you her advice, just like she did when she was here. It's that simple. It's that simple. So one would think, though, that a psychic at some point would be able to get information on lottery numbers. And I will say, I have been given instructions from Spirit a time or two to pick up some scratchers, and I did win. Not huge amounts of money, but, enough to make me excited. But it doesn't happen every time. It rarely happens. There's a few reasons for that. One reason is that when psychics deal with energy, we read energy, or we open up and the energy is downloaded to us, depending on how we work. Energy exists in everything on the planet. Everything that is of nature, thing that is naturally created in the universe, is made of energy. Even after it's been manufactured into something else. For instance, metal that's been worked into something else. It still has energy. Everything has energy. And so it's easy. It's something that psychics can tap into. But man-made concepts don't have energy. Man-made concepts are things that we created in order to keep track of stuff in our life. For instance, time. Time doesn't exist in nature. But in order to make our lives more manageable and to be able to make agreements with people, we came up with the concept of time. So we can say, meet me at 3 o'clock instead of meet me when the sun is moving towards the other side of the sky. You see what I mean? So time is a man-made concept. Calendar dates and years are man-made concepts. Well, money and numbers are also man-made concepts. They don't have their own energy. And psychics do pick up some stuff about that, but it's very, very difficult because there's no energy to work with. How do you, there's just nothing there. I'm not most psychics, but it's not unusual for psychics to get number information. But For instance, let's take the concept of time. I get numbers in relation to time, but it's very difficult to gauge whether if Spirit shows me a 7, it's very difficult for me to gauge if that's 7 minutes, 7 hours, 7 days, 7 weeks, 7 months. I try to get an idea, and I'm often at somewhere in the ballpark, whether it's a short time or a long time. But it's very hard, and it's the same thing with money. So think about this. Let's take lottery tickets as a perfect example. We're dealing with numbers, and we're dealing with money. Two things that have no energy. Two things that are completely man-made concepts. There's just nothing there to read. And, it doesn't mean that a really, really good psychic can't that information. But I want you to understand why it's so difficult. It's one of the most frustrating things that I'm asked. It really is one of the most frustrating things that I'm asked. So, setting aside the concept of how difficult it is to read energy from man-made concepts, there are other things that fall under why don't they give us the things we need. And you have to think about it a different way. We think we need, quote unquote, is not always necessarily what we really need. We may think if we just had $1 million, our life would be easy. We could solve all our problems. Everything would be great from now on. But then, think about all of the people who have won the lottery. Think about the stories about all the lottery winners. You've read people who win a gazillion dollars, and 10 years later, they're completely broke. You see, money is usually not really the solution. So if you're requesting help from Spirit, it's much better to, instead of asking for money or to win the lottery or something that's a concept that has no energy and is difficult to formulate into a solid thing that has concreteness in the universe, ask for exactly what it is you need the money for. For instance, you have a car, you need it to get back and forth to work. The car breaks. You have no money to get a new car. $10,000 so I can buy a car. Just ask Spirit to help you get the car. Don't worry about the money part, because Spirit is very, very smart and they're very, very clever. And they will find a way to get you that car if it's something that is really necessary for you to move forward in your life, something you need to survive. It will come. It's not going to be the car of your dreams, or it might be the car of your dreams. I don't know. But ask for the item, not for the money, you see. Anyway, to get back to why don't they give us the lottery numbers, asking for $10,000 for the car is just a concept that is difficult to grasp. It's difficult for the universe working with energy. It's difficult all the way around. Item, that's something the universe can work with. Something else that I would like to bring up is the concept of karma. And karma is not really what our common idea of karma is here in the West is really incomplete and not exactly accurate. And what happened was, back in the olden days, when scholars in the West started translating the Buddhist and Hindu works, where all the basis for our understanding of karma came from, it was a translation error. They didn't really understand, and it was a little bit mistranslated and simplified. But in fact, Hindus teach there are several types of karma. There are a lot of different kinds of karma, and they relate to different aspects of your life. It's really quite complex. It's much more complex than if you do something bad is going to happen to you. That's not exactly how it works. And then just to make the idea even more complicated, there are other kinds of karma too that have to do with lessons that we've chosen to learn. If you get a full numerology chart done, which is very similar to a full astrological chart, but using numbers instead of the planets. In a full numerology chart, you can see exactly what your karma is that you came here with, which is quite fascinating. Now, wouldn't you like to know? I'll tell you, when I learned that, it explained so many things to me about experiences I've had in my life. And when you get a full numerology chart done, it will show you two different kinds of karma. One, which is something we all come here with, is called a karmic lesson. The other type of karma you can see in a numerology chart is called your karmic debt, and not everybody comes here with a karmic debt. So let's talk about karmic lessons. And this will all come back to why Spirit doesn't just in a moment. So bear with me. What a karmic lesson is before we're born, we're putting together our plan to come back. We're deciding what we want to learn. We're deciding what we're going to put our focus on in our education, kind of like choosing a major in college. And our little experiences that we plan out are like the classes we take to study that major. So those are karmic lessons. They're basically the focus of our studies while here on Earth. And most people have 2 or maybe 3. Three is pretty high. It's usually 1 or 2. Some people have a lot. Some people have 4 or 5. That's a lot. I will tell you, I have 4. It's a lot. When numerologists see my chart, they're like, ooh, look at you. But if you can get your hands on that information, or if you get a numerology chart, and it's very helpful. Now, to bring that back to why Spirit doesn't give us things like lottery numbers, think about it. If one of the lessons you chose to work on while you're here is managing your personal resources, things that you have at your disposal to take care of yourself, which in this day and age is money and on other things, but money's a big part of it. If that's one of your lessons, how are you going to learn that lesson if Spirit gives you a $10 million lottery ticket? Doesn't make much sense, does it? And think about it. Think about this. What if your lesson is in relationships and how to get along with people in all aspects of your life, and you just struggle with it, and you struggle with it, and you struggle with it, and then Spirit hands you a $10 million lottery ticket? Do you think that's going to make that lesson harder or easier? You see what I mean? Are you following me? The other thing is, let's say that you've completed all that stuff. Then you might get a surprise lottery ticket or something, but you're still probably not going to get the lottery numbers for the night, or pick the winning slot machine when you walk in the door, or any of those other things that we wring our hands about. Why? Why can't we just get that? And as we put together our plans to come back here, and we're working out what our karmic lessons are going to be, Spirit is aware of those. Even though most of us here aren't really aware of them, Spirit is. And so they know you can't make something happen that's going to go against what you have already planned to do. Okay, now I'd like to touch on the karmic debts real briefly. Karmic debts are when you did something in a past life. You had and generally it's a personality. It's something you did over and over. For instance, abused of your position in charge of people, basically took advantage of people, or you're a liar, or you're a lazy lieabout and never held up your end of a bargain or whatever. Those are all things that if you don't straighten them out at that time, you will have to work on when you come back here. And if you don't take care of it when you come back here, you're going to have to come back and do it again. Okay, now getting back to the concept of Spirit giving us lottery numbers or slot machines or winning card games or whatever. I've covered what they can't do. They can't, for the most part, they can, kind of, but it's difficult for psychics. Then what can they do? What can Spirit do? Well, as I said earlier, if you ask for a car, that's something they can work with. If your child needs a school uniform, that's something they can work with. And you need to ask with peace in your heart and positive energy. The more you eliminate the negative energy from your thoughts and your words and your actions, and the more you replace those with the positive, who you are in receiving the gifts from Spirit that you ask for. Because they can work with positive energy. You can't work with negative energy. It's not. It's like that bratty kid that will just never sit down and be quiet, But positive energy they can work with. They can handle that. They can turn it into something usable. Really, a lot of this stuff does come back to karma. A lot of it does come back to karma. And I know I explained about the lottery tickets and whatnot. And really, that's just kind of a thing to be funny, a thing to be smarmy, to get your attention. And we covered the man-made concepts, but really the main reason that we don't always get the things that we think we need is because of the karma. And the other part of that is you have to be very careful what you ask for, because you may get it just to learn a lesson. Sometimes what we think we need is not really what we need. Sometimes we do get exactly what we asked for, and we are so sorry later because it just didn't work out right. And I think we all know somebody that has happened to at some point or another. If only I could get this, my life would be so much better. If only I could get this, my life would be so much easier. Well, be careful. Think about these requests. Take them very seriously. Don't just toss them about. Think about the request and be very careful in your wording, and don't be greedy. And make sure that it's something that will truly help. It's Spirit, too. Last year I was meditating on something, and I'm a little bit irreverent when I talk to my spirit people. I have a sense of humor, and I'm not afraid to use it with them. And I was asking them for something, and they're a little bit irreverent with me, too. And they said, hey, we're not miracle. We're not your magic genie in a bottle. That's not our role here. You're not magical, mystical beings who can snap their fingers and make things happen. They have to put work and put energy into helping us, just like we have to put work and energy into making our lives better, or even just living our lives. They want to help, but they also want to be appreciated. I mean, it's just like anything. Do you help someone who never says thank you and only comes around when they need something? No. Who does? It's the same thing with them. I mean, they'll be around, but they're going to be a lot less inclined to help you if you're greedy and you treat them like they owe you something. They don't. They don't owe us anything. They want to help. They love us. The whole reason they're in our lives is to share the energy of love. It's really a simple thing. They want us to be happy. They want us to grow as people. They want everything to be positive. They want to share love. They want to be able to help us. So, if you don't use things like not getting the lottery numbers or whatever to shut down all psychics as fraud, and that's something that upsets me too. The people who just flat out say, "Oh, it's a fraud," "Oh, blah blah blah," "Oh, blah blah blah." I would like to challenge those people to do the extensive and intensive studies that I have done, people I know have done, dedicating years of our lives to learning how to work with spirit. You go to Arthur Findlay College in England. You sign up for a week-long mediumship intensive course, and then tell me that this stuff is not real. First of all, you won't make it 6 hours into the first day before they run you out of there for being a fraud. Second of all, even if they don't, you won't be able to do it if you're not really a medium. You won't be able to do those classes if you haven't developed your psychic abilities already. So, don't the smart ass. Why don't you give me the lottery numbers? Yeah, that really is a sore topic for me. That's why I kept coming back to it. And I hope I've cleared up some of this stuff, Spirit is not here to do dog and pony tricks for us. They don't want to be the clown at the birthday show. Now, they're not our magic genies. They want to be loved and appreciated, just like they love and appreciate us. And they do want to help. But they also want us to understand that they have to work with, work with things the way they work with them in a man-made concept, which is very, very difficult. Now, I'm going to give you, this is a great example here. I have a friend who left for a trip today. She's been planning this trip for a few months. She's very excited. She's going home to visit semi-long-lost family members she hasn't seen in almost 20 years, I think. It's been a very, very long time. Been busting her butt, saving money, and getting ready for that trip. And it's getting real close, and she hadn't quite covered her rent. And she didn't say to Spirit, "I need $800 to pay my rent." She said, "Spirit, I'm supposed to make this trip. You need to show me how to pay that rent." Yesterday, she got a check in the mail from a bank she hasn't had an account at in years. They had $888 for her. Now, isn't that interesting? And let me explain here. You see, they didn't take, she didn't ask for money. She said, "Show me how I'm going to get my rent paid." And they used the energy at hand with a person and a bank and paper. It came as a check. You see how they did that? Money. And she didn't say, "Please let me win the lottery so I can make this trip." No, she said, "Show me how I'm going to pay my rent." And they worked with what they have, which is energy, and they found a way to make it happen. And this morning, she flew to Massachusetts, and I'm very, very happy. So I hope that I've cleared some of this up for you. It's, it's very complicated, and in future shows, I'm going to expand on this a lot more. Basically, what we're really talking about, you can go ask the psychic the lottery number. You're not going to get it. But you can also ask Spirit yourself, and that's called manifestation. And in a future show, I am going to be touching on that. There are several aspects of manifestation. I have one coming up in a couple of weeks where I'm just going to get into, step one, early stuff, kind of concepts and whatnot. Because everybody has access. Everybody has access to the tools the universe has given us, and the Spirit wants me to share them. The universe wants us all to. So, I will teach you in upcoming shows how we can do that, and it's going to be awesome. And I'll share some stories about things I've manifested for myself. I will share stories about things that my friends and family have manifested in their lives. It's wonderful. Now, that doesn't mean we're all living in big mansions and driving Ferraris, because, you see, those are not things that we need. But once you understand how it works and you understand how to separate your wants from your needs, Spirit is more than happy to help. Spirit will step right in and help you work that energy. If you find any of this interesting, I hope you will subscribe to my show Thursdays and Sundays at 10 p.m. You feel free to look me up on Facebook, Medium Melinda. I hope you'll follow me. I do share lots of cool information there. I also share events and places where I will be reading at psychic fairs and teaching classes and whatnot. I'm happy to be here. Sorry we didn't have any callers tonight. I had a couple the last time, and it was really fun, so hopefully we'll have some Sunday night. But in the meantime, I hope that everything's awesome for you. See you on Sunday when the topic is going to be Spirit. What is it good for? We're going to talk a little bit about how Spirit works with us and how they work with our lives and why they're here and what that's all about, and Spirit guides. Angels, what's the difference? Are our relatives also our spirit guides? Are they separate? How does that all work? We're going to be covering all of that stuff. Once again, I hope you'll look me up, facebook.com/mediummelinda. If you'd like to find out more about numerology readings, visit my website, melindamaemiller.com. And I hope everybody has a great weekend. I will talk to you 10 o'clock Sunday night. To everyone for being here. You've been listening to Invisible Warriors with Melinda Mae Miller. Special thanks and shout out to the band Noise Problem Selections for the theme song used under Creative Commons license. Have a great night.